Hey y'all, welcome to the Bergerac channel. It's Jim, your humble host, and today we are going to show you how to polish chips out of a glass bowl. No, I'm not smoking. We're actually going to do this. So I have a variable speed Makita sander. It's basically a sander polisher. It's not a DA. It just spins in a circular motion. Could use an angle grinder for this, but it doesn't go slow enough. Taking a disket pad and I put a carbon fiber base on it, which makes it somewhat flexible, but it gives you a really rigid work surface. And this is nice for sticking the self-adhesive PSA pads on. So I'm putting some 600 on this right now. On this side of the glass bowl, I've already work the chip out. So they called me over to the boat and they're like, hey, can you swap this sink out with one that's downstairs because we don't want the chip sink in the master. Why don't you just let me polish the chips out of the glass and don't have to swap two sinks out. We'll just fix the one that's cracked. Oh no, you can't do that. Like 4 companies just said they won't even touch it. I'm like, it's not that big a deal to polish glass. I'm gonna show you all how to do it. We're gonna have a little fun with it. When it's done, we'll give it back to the boat and they'll be happy. So starting with 600 grit because I've already worked this side with some heavier grit papers. Just turn the machine on. You wanna run it really slow and we just polish the glass. Very similar to anything else that you would polish up, whether it's stainless or whatever you choose for it to be. You just work your way up with your grits. Okay, you can see how that's coming out. You can see what's left with a little tiny chip, which is much bigger. And just polish really slow. Try not to heat the glass up. Heat the glass up, you will crack it. Doesn't hurt to put your fingers on it, see what's going on. Now, obviously you can see that's coming up really nice. So let's go to the other chip that I haven't actually started on. And I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so this chip is a pretty good sized chip. You can actually see it pretty clearly. And you can also feel it when you're running your hands on there. So clamp it back down so it doesn't move. Just need it to hold it solid so it doesn't rock. Now we're gonna start with the more aggressive paper, which we'll use 220 to get most of the damage out. Nothing fancy about this paper. It's the same stuff we use to polish stainless up or anything else. More of a metal paper. And you can see how big the chip is. Sanding the glass away. Be patient. This isn't something that you can do real fast. Go into the bowl a little bit so you don't get a ridge or a flat spot. Basically, you have to take all of the glass down to that dimension in order for it to not be flat spotted. Again, like I said, you don't want to heat the glass up. So you can see it's even starting to go away. It's getting less than it was. Now on your initial grits of paper, the glass is tempered, so it's to take the paper down real quick. So I'm gonna swap on that so I'm not spending more time. Or once in a while when I'm teaching employees or we're talking about things, I always try to remind them that paper is inexpensive compared to labor. So if you're sitting on a piece of paper that doesn't cut anymore for an additional 5 minutes, it's cheaper to replace this piece of paper for 30 cents a disc than it is to try to overuse the paper. This doesn't make any sense to spend the labor for something that's not cutting. It's the same thing, your time's important as well. So change your paper out, spend the money on the paper, save the time. Okay, 2 pieces of paper down. And you see almost when you get that first little layer of the glass off, it starts taking the paper off harder. So you can almost hear that the paper's not cutting as good as it was when you're using the surface of the glass. Now you're getting down into more of the tempered material. Now remember, as we're polishing this down, we're making this edge right here real sharp. We don't want that. It's kind of got like a blunt edge to it, a softer edge. So we have to turn it and go like this just a little bit. Okay, it feels really nice. See how small that chip is now? Just a little tiny chip in there. So before you could visually see it, now I have to point it out. So remember we started with 220 and all of the grits from there, whether it would go up to 320, then we'll go to 400, 600, 800, and 1,000 grit. They'll all sand some off. So don't take the chip out completely because you'll sand too much glass away by the time you get the polish up. So that's why I'm leaving just a small little chip there. It'll come out as we go up in grits. You'll see it coming to more of a shine. One thing to remember is you can do this on flat plain glass. You can get chips and scratches out as well. There's companies that actually do it, diamond wheels, all that stuff, and make it go away. There's always going to be a distortion to a piece of glass that you do that too, though. You won't have distortion on this because it's a bowl. It's shaped round all the way around. You'll never see what I'm doing. But on a flat plane of glass, you will to a certain extent. But there is companies that do remove glass, all the machinery, and they're not doing it redneck like the way I'm doing it right now. But so you can polish any glass, tempered or otherwise, and polish it up. This is something that's best for this application the way I'm doing it, something that doesn't show that it's not perfectly flat anymore. You have to actually increase your surface area that you're polishing slightly, just to make sure that you've overlapped all of the scratches, which at the same time will take the chip out. You'll be making the chip a little bit smaller. It's the same with wood or anything else. You have to make sure that all the previous grit paper scratches are gone before you can really continue. Don't increase your speed on your machine. Be patient, let it ride. Stuff like this takes time. This bowl's approximately $1,000. It comes from Europe. By the time you pay shipping and everything to get it over here, you'll be easily at $1,000. Customs and everything else, it's got to be paid. Take your time. You're dealing with something that's somewhat valuable. There's no sense in hurrying it just because you're becoming impatient. Pretty confident that I got all the 220 scratches out, and everything that's scratched right now is a 320. So let's move up a grit now, see how it comes up. Remember, if you got scratches or something, you can always go back and do it a little bit more with the coarser grits, but it's a lot easier in life just to do it right the first time. Don't forget to hit that edge with all your different grits. Make sure it stays polished. You can visually, if you come look at this a little closer, you can see when I go up on the glass where it's not scratched, as I'm feathering it all in, it's hardly scratching the glass at all. Actually turning it just to like a little bit of a blemish. The whole piece should look just like it's slightly blemished when I'm done, if I've sanded properly. You'll almost be able to see through it clearly at this point. And that's a 600 grit paper. So if I don't have that translucent look through all of it, I need to keep working on it with the 600 until it all becomes translucent. Now you can see what happens with the finer grit papers. It kind of rolls, gives that white residue on there. It's really not cutting much at this point, just polishing. Okay, I'm going to move up to the 800 grit paper now. Pretty sweet. Now we're going to start with the 1000 grit paper, but I'm going to come slightly different because it's still the same paper, but we have to actually peel the backer off. You see it's completely transparent. And now that we have the 1000 on there, we're going to put a little soap on it, help it cut. Isn't that amazing? It's almost completely disappeared. Start with another piece of 1000. Now what we notice from the analytics and things that we get back from the YouTube channel, and not everybody watches the videos till the end. So while everybody thinks that they already know how to do this, and they're down the road and they're sanding already, they've stopped watching the video, you have to wait until the end to actually learn the whole technique. There's one final pad that needs to be used. It's a 2000 grit Metabolo. Yes, you can put this on your machine. We have to change the pad out. I have one already set up on a Velcro back, set it back in there. We're going to take this pad off, and this is how we're going to finish the job. You notice I removed that by hand, but I never put my pads on tight enough, or with a wrench. Why grab a wrench? It wastes time. It's still going to go around, it's not going to loosen up. A little 80-90 weight gear oil is the next step, not the soap. So this is a AMSOIL synthetic gear oil, stuff I have for my off-road trucks. Put that on, you know what? It's not going to heat up. It's going to allow it to polish. It's not going to dry. It's kind of a big deal here. So because you watched the whole video, now you know. Okay, see all of the benefits of subscribing to the Bergerac channel? Number one, you get to see me. Number two, well, let's forget about number two. Number three, you need to learn something new every week. We don't know what's going to be coming up for next week because we don't know who's calling for our next crazy project. But we'll bring it to you. We love you all. Thanks for subscribing. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.